All right. So thank you everyone for joining us for today's Career Path series. Today we are joined by Kevin Krogstad and Sandy Cheng, and we have our MBA director here, Ernie Silvers, who is going to be our interviewer. Ernie, over to you.
Oh my goodness. Gosh, I hope I'm good today. Thank you, Molly. All right. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited about this particular speaker series because we have two certified real estate experts to talk about what's it like to be a realtor, what's the real estate business look like, how do you get into it. We have Kevin, who is a real estate agent as well as a real estate coach, and his fiancee Sandy. And the interesting part of this situation is we have two folks that are independent realtors that are independently together. Similar, different perspectives, and that's what I love about this opportunity. So Kevin and Sandy, welcome. Kevin, I'm going to start with you first. Can you just kind of give us a brief description, a brief bio, and then Sandy, maybe you can follow up, and we'll go from there.
Should I give Sandy's bio and then she can give mine?
Yeah, that would be even fun. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
So I have been in real estate going on 9 years, and I started as a solo agent, so all by myself and selling houses, and did really well my first couple of years, to the point where I started a team a couple years in, which is where I just had other agents working with me, and had an admin. And then eventually caught the eye of my owner, who owned the brokerage and still owns the brokerage today. And they invited me with an opportunity to become in leadership, which was running the brokerage. And so I've had the opportunity to do that for now 5 years. So I still actively sell real estate. I still lead the Keller Williams Redlands office in Redlands, and we have a high desert location up in Victorville as well. And then last year I started a coaching program. So I coach brand new real estate agents that are getting in and teaching them the fundamentals and helping them get in building that business, getting those first few transactions.
So you're in there every day, you're doing it. And is the coaching, is it part of a recruiting process, or is it coaching agents that are actively engaged already?
Well, we do have a process for those interested in getting into real estate. So we do have a path for them, but my coaching program is specifically designed for those that are brand new licensed. So they're already licensed and active, helping them launch that real estate business and get those first few transactions.
Nice. All right, Sandy, let's hear your bio, please.
I was licensed in 2013. That seemed like a long time ago. Licensed, didn't know what I was doing. I thought, I just loved houses, so why not just sell them? So got licensed. I had an entire family that was in real estate. So, brokers and agents with years of experience. So I had no sphere of influence to tap into, because they will always go with someone, more experienced, right? So I started working with online leads, building an online presence, so people could find me. So start doing well, and then have little kids. So I was like, we need to build a team. So build a team, start hiring agents, start doing really well. Our prime year, I think it was 2017 or 18, we were the number 14 team in the entire California. Oof. So it was great. Life was great. We were closing escrows left and right. And real estate market's always changing, and I've made a few shifts, and it's been fun. I've done a few flips myself too, have a few rentals. So real estate has been a lot of fun. I moved a few brokerages since, always looking for a space, more growth. So I am in a boutique independent brokerage now, so different company than Kevin's. And I have a small team, and still doing a lot of, every day in the trenches, real estate sales.
Yeah. So both of you are out there, you're doing it every day. The first question that's obvious to me is, how come you two haven't joined together in one, what is it better if you stay separated? Because I don't know if we mentioned that you are, destined to be married to one another, right? So you're running independent businesses separately together. How come, is it better to stay separate? And just curious about that.
Do you want to answer that?
No, go
No.
for it. Go for it.
Okay, moving on. Open question. How do I become a real estate agent? What's that process look like?
Well, we can
Maybe-
answer the question. I mean, it's for us, I think we subscribe to the idea that family first, right? So our relationship is always going to be the most important thing, and business comes second. So keeping those priorities in alignment has helped. And we just have different opportunities at different brokerages, so we support one another 100%. I mean, I joke that our pillow talk is different than most people because we're always talking about it and like this, and grow the business and start this business and all of those things. So we have a lot of fun. We support one another and encourage each other. We bounce ideas off each other, and we're growing our things. And then since getting engaged, we are working on starting some entities and some things together. So we have created a few things together too. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So it isn't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, that's the basic, that's what I'm hearing. So then let's spin off into the question, how do I become a real estate agent? And like I suggested earlier, I'm really excited about this because I hear from students so many times about this illusion that I'm going to get into real estate and I'm going to flip houses and I'm going to be wealthy, and it's going to happen like in the same time it took me to watch the television show, I guess. I'm not sure. How do I get into real estate?
Well, it does happen like that, right?
Does it? Oh, that's right.
Maybe not in 50 minutes, maybe a few years, but definitely doable.
Yeah,
How do I do that?
It's one of those things where, I think, people, the idea of being your own boss, right? Setting your own hours, complete flexibility in your schedule, and the idea of unlimited earning potential is super appealing to most people. The flip side to that coin that I like to remind folks about is that there is no one telling you to get out of bed or to put pants on, right? Stop watching Netflix. Like, it's on you to show up and do the work, because it does require work to be successful. So if you're just going to stay at home in sweats all day, it's not going to happen. So there is some resilience, some diligence, discipline that is required to achieve those things. But to your question, it's actually not that complicated to get into real estate in California. It's probably one of the least barriers to entry as far as starting any type of business that I'm aware of. And so I think about, like, if we were to start a business, if we were all to start a restaurant today, like, you've got to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the place up and running, staff and food and equipment, before you could open your doors to take customers. Whereas in real estate, it's $2,000 probably. And there's 3 steps really. You just, the state of California is required for you to take 3 college level courses in real estate. So it's 135 credit hours, which you can do online on your own self-study. And then you get a background check. So you can't be, like super,
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
They'll let you.
So background check. And then the third one is you do have to take a state exam, a state test, and pass that. So it's really a really low barrier to entry, actually.
And then you choose a broker.
Yeah. And then you choose a brokerage that you want to work with.
Interesting. So it doesn't sound, so Joshua asked that exact question. How do I do that? And where do I start? Where do I look? Do I look online? Do I talk to brokers? Where do I start? I mean, literally, where do I start? How do I do it?
Kevin actually has a really good program he's going to share with everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Please.
License.
You want to do that now?
Yeah, I mean, I can put a link in the chat. So essentially what we do is we have a partnership with Kaplan, which is obviously a national online education institute, because Keller Williams Realty, my company, is not an accredited institution. So we don't offer the courses ourselves. We partner with Kaplan, And we have a scholarship program where we offer those 3 courses, the 135 credit hours, for free. So, and it's like no obligation. I mean, you don't even have to join Keller Williams at the end of it if you don't want to, but you didn't hear that from me, but there's no obligation to it. So it's actually a really easy process, but you can, I mean, if you just Google how to get your real estate license in California, you're going to find those 3 requirements. There's a lot of schools out there, anywhere from $300 to $500 for those courses. But we have an opportunity. If anyone's interested, I can share that link in the chat, for you to register for us to get you started for free.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that. So
Yeah,
whenever
please
you're ready
do.
to do that, go ahead and drop it in the
Yeah.
chat. So Sandy, what does your average day look like as realtor?
Pre-COVID or after COVID?
Okay, that's a good question, because there are 3 distinct periods of time. There's pre-COVID, COVID, and coming out of COVID. So, all right, let's kind of walk through. Let's do the pre-COVID. What was it like? Can you just tell us, what did it look like before, during COVID, and after?
Pre-COVID, definitely a lot of I am very dedicated to my escrows. So is waking up, then checking the emails and making sure there's no one's pants are on fire.
Right.
And going to getting the kids ready, send them off to school, breakfast, send them off to school. And that's when I can get into the office and really do the prospecting, follow up with clients, touch base with friends and family, because that's very important. That's part of prospecting, and following up and taking care of escrows, the houses that are in escrow, different transactions. And in the afternoon really is either networking events, we're going to show houses or appointments. And we do have a lot of events in real estate, so we do a lot of those.
Events like what? Help me understand, what kind of events?
A lot of
Is it like parties, yacht ride? What is it?
Those 2.
When we were younger, a lot more parties. And now just that music can't be too loud, but
right.
We do a lot of masterminds where top producers get together, either brokers or team leaders where top producers get together, and we share what's working, what's not. And we like to help each other out that way.
Kevin, what about you?
Well, and I can answer the day in the life question, but I think as far as the events, one of the biggest things with real estate is that you're an independent contractor. So even though you're with a brokerage, you're not an employee. You're an independent contractor in the state of California, which means you are your own business entity, and everything really rises and falls on your ability to, we don't get paid until we can successfully guide a home buyer or a home seller to the finish line, which that process, the transaction can be 30 to 90 days long. And so we don't get a paycheck until the whole thing's all done. So these events that we go to are really there to support one another and encourage and learn and always be growing, because it can be lonely if you're doing it on your own. So having the support of your peers and other brokerages, other top people to share ideas, like what's working for you, what's not working for you, how do we navigate these challenges is really helpful.
Yeah. So having a solid peer network, as well as constantly growing your network, so that you don't feel like I'm the only one having this problem ever on the planet. It's only me.
We always feel like
I like the part, again, you've kind of touched on it twice, but talking about having the discipline to get up, get out of bed, and get on to work. And then you're not an employee, you're a subcontractor, or you're an independent contractor, which means if you don't go out, kill something, drag it back to the cave, you don't eat, right? So it's completely up to you. Is that something that came naturally to each of you, that independent, go out and get it mentality, or did you have to learn that?
I think for me, I won't speak for Sandy, but yeah, I think for me, there's a part of it that is and I think for most like entrepreneurs, right? I think if you have that like entrepreneur mindset, you typically fall into the camp of, let's jump off this cliff and we're gonna build the plane on the way down. Like it's gonna be fine.
Yes,
Trust me.
that's
We'll
exactly
get
right.
it. It's gonna be good. So we usually jump, and we're always looking for growth, always looking for opportunities. So that part has always been fairly easy. But at some point, you hit your natural sort of ceiling of achievement, right? Your own natural ability takes you so far, and you do got to learn new skills and new skills, new abilities, new processes to break through to that next level. So in that sense, it is challenging. I think that's where a lot of people struggle and give up, is that they don't reevaluate, reassess, or pivot to grow through that and take on new skills and new abilities. So challenging at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Hang on just a second. I just want to make sure that I stress again the entrepreneur fact, that we overlook that you are entrepreneurs. You have your own businesses. You're out there doing it. So you have to be entrepreneurial. And, like I tell students that, I can teach you the dance, but you're either entrepreneurial or you're kind of not. I mean, some of the stuff you can learn, but you either are or you're not. And you're right. You jump out of the plane and build the plane, the recovery plane on the way down. And how deep is the water? We'll know when we get there. And that drives some folks crazy. Sandy, were you that way too? I mean, you have a unique personality. I've had the opportunity to talk to you a little bit before, and there's nothing but energy coming out of you. So was this a natural thing for you, Sandy?
I've been fortunate. When I first started jumping into a commission only kind of industry, I had great mentors, family in the business. And I remember a family member telling me, and they have been really successful in real estate. And he said, you have to treat it like a job. And I know, I'm like, what do you mean? I got into real estate so I could be my own boss and set my own schedule so I can go have brunch whenever I want, during brunch time, of course. But he said you have to treat it like a job. You have to show up, because you won't have a boss telling you not, whether or not to show up. You have to show up because you are your own boss, and you have the things that you need to do.
Right.
Treat it like a job. So when I first started, I would say 5 years, I was in my little cubicle. I show up at 8 o'clock and I didn't leave the office until 5. So I treat it like a 9 to 5. And that's how you build momentum. And that's how you develop the discipline. So I don't know if I had it or not, but I was told I was good at following, my mentor's instructions back then. So
you built a habit and you just stuck with it. It just worked. How do you folks find clients? Do you like go to Kmart and pick up a box of them, or how do you find clients?
Home goods.
Yeah.
Home goods. You hang out there and look for people. Hey, you wouldn't want to buy a house, would you? How do you do that?
Okay. Well, for me, when I first started, like I said, I didn't have, friends or family that I could work with. So I went online. I created a Google, I don't know what it was called at the time, like a Google profile, like Google business profile.
Okay.
It was called Google My Business. And start just asking friends for reviews and, past customers for reviews, and just build up an online presence. And I also work with Zillow. I know that's a big Z word in the industry. Kevin doesn't like them.
Is that a bad? Oh, Kevin doesn't like them. Is that what it is?
But I did work with them. I was, featured as their premier agent, and they have, if you go on Zillow, if anybody goes on Zillow and you see a house and you press the more information or contact agent, my phone will ring along with other. So we were competing for that one for you who clicked on the link, who wants to, get more information on the house. And it would be up to me if I get the call to, build enough trust and rapport with you for you to be like, okay, let's go see that house. Let's work together. So that's how I initially got started. And then it just start building with online. People start calling you because they Google, real estate agent in Canyon Lake. They will find my number and they will call me. So that's how I first started.
Okay, so you had to build the business and then it just sort of starts coming. Kevin, what does prospecting look like to you?
Yeah,
Or
I think those that do really well in this industry are disciplined. So not to use that word again, I know there's a bunch of business students here, and maybe some of you are entrepreneurial thinkers, and yet there is this level of discipline that's required. That those that succeed at a high level are really intentional about reaching out. Our industry, our business, we're a customer service based business, and so you've got to have relationships. It's all about those relationships, and that's your customer base. So it's about spending time nurturing those relationships. I like to say that the conversations are the relationships. So if you think
Mhm.
about, if talking to friends or people that and think about the last conversation you had with them, well, that is the relationship. And so our job is to really go in and nurture those relationships, spend time getting to know them. I mean, in some cases, it's when's the dog's birthday, when's the kid's soccer tournament, things so that you could have a reason to call and stay in touch and stay top of mind with them, because not everyone's buying a house every single day.
Yep.
So it's 10 years between when they do transactions. We need to stay kind of omnipresent throughout those 10 years, just being a part of people's lives, showing up with value and contribution. So that prospecting is really, it serves well if you're looking at it to grow your relationship network and to
Mhm.
in those relationships with value and contribution. That is really the heart of it. I think there's this, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Glenn Ross. What is it? Glenn Ross. The
Yeah.
old,
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
the
Yeah.
leads are bad, the leads are bad. So we talk about leads in our industry all the time, and yet leads are just, they're people. So the more people that you're connected with, the better that business will be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you make me think. I know a realtor who I've been talking with, as you said, maybe not 10 years, but certainly 7. And he's the person I think of. I mean, he stays in touch. And so he's not really, of course, he'd like to sell my house. And I ask him, where is it you'd want me to move? I'm not really planning to move. You're going to throw me out of my house and make me homeless. But he's working on the relationship, and when I think about it, he's the guy I think about. So yes, of course, you'd like to do the transaction, but simultaneously, you have to think long term, because it takes relationships. You have to be top of mind. You have to be the go-to person when I think about real estate. Is that
And
fair?
it's about, yeah, Ernie, I would love to help you when that time comes. And
Mhm.
yet, who do you know that needs help right now? Right.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
in your world that I could also help? Those
yeah.
referrals.
Referrals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. What do you and okay, Sandy, back to you. What do you like most about being in real estate? I mean, as an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, why real estate? What do you like about it? I mean,
Honestly, we talk about TV shows, right? And we see them in
yes.
fancy dresses and suits, and they can just like throw their cell phone and make $1 million. But that's not true, guys. That's not true. Um, but I love because as an immigrant myself, I
Mm,
moved from Taiwan,
hmm.
and it's just the possibility and the ability to not have a ceiling for your income. The income
Hmm.
potential in real estate, like if you put the effort into it, and if you are tenacious and you
Hmm.
do the things you need to do, and you keep growing, you adapt, and you move with the market, like, oh my gosh, you can change your financial life, you can change your family's life, and you can like leave a legacy for your kids, and you can help, even like Kevin's big on that, just helping others build wealth through real estate. And that's just not doing it for yourself, you can help others to do it too.
Hmm.
So it's just a really fun journey. It's definitely challenging at times, especially when
Hmm.
markets changing, and it's changing all the time. So it keeps us on our toes. I love that because it's not boring, and you have to always be growing, and we both like to grow. So that's my favorite part, like the income potential, and you're always growing, and it's just fun.
So yeah, there's no ceiling. It's not like an hourly job, right? It's whatever you want to do. Kevin, what about you? Why are you in this? I mean, you're a driven guy. You have this intense stare. You can just feel the energy even through a Zoom screen. You know, you're a coach. It's like, oh my God, Kevin's a coach.
It's because the windows are getting smaller and smaller, and
Is that what it is?
I'm in my 40s now, so it's like everything's blurry. No, I'm just kidding.
He's pretty intense.
Real estate, it's just one of those things. So this was actually my second career. So I started, music was always my first love. Molly knows this. So I got a degree in music. And then I transitioned into real estate once I realized, it sounds bad. I have to be careful who I tell this to, but you hear the cliche that like struggling musicians, right? Starving artists and things like that. Like music, there wasn't a lot of earning potential for me. So I started looking at other options, and I've always wanted to start businesses and start. I was a creative, so I want to create things. And so real estate was something that was really exciting to me. But Sandy nailed it. It's been like my life's mission since getting into real estate, which is helping families build wealth through real estate. Because you look at those that are wealthy in our country, and it's likely that they own a lot of real estate, and that owning real estate contributed significantly to that wealth that they have. Those that have bought houses in like the last 10 years know that. I mean, I think the average homeowner right now is sitting on $300,000 in, net worth, compared to a renter sitting on $9,000 in net worth. So it was like just this, it seems like a proven path to earn not only income, but build generational wealth to pass on to the next generation. So I know it sounds like money, and I do want to clarify that, the TV shows and even those that are in real estate that really focus on the money, that doesn't necessarily serve them super well, because we could be chasing money all day long and not live a life that's worth living at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we like to say that money's good for the good that it can do. And so you're chasing what the money can do, who you can give it to, who you can help, what we can build, what experiences can we create for ourselves and for others. That's really the chase, if you will. So
I teach entrepreneurship students. Yeah, of course we do this for money. I mean, take this off the table. Of course we do, but let the money, the revenue, become the result of what you do very, very well. Because if you pick something and you do it very, very well, the money will come, but don't chase the money, right? Chase the network, chase the excellence, chase the service to others. And I love how you guys talk about building others up and showing, it's like, teaching other people how to do what you do, right? See, that's cool, right? There's a question in the chat about risk, and the folks want to know, they want a horror story. So Kevin, I'm going to ask you now. All right, so both of you are smiling, which means the business is okay and you're kind of digging it right now. But was there a time in your career, maybe your early career or through an economic situation where maybe it wasn't so wonderful? What are the risks and how do you deal with that?
Well, that's definitely something in like my coaching program that I really try to spend a lot of time with new agents talking about is like, I mentioned at the beginning, $2,000 and you can become a real estate agent. And yet at 100% commission business, if you don't have 3 to 6 months in reserve, so anyone getting into real estate, I tell them, do not quit your job. Let's figure it out and let's get you some transactions. Let's see what we can get for free before we start throwing a bunch of money at it. Let's make some money before we start spending money. Because I think as a business owner, you always want to be looking, you need that safety net. And 6 months reserves of having your expenses covered, is a really good place. That's the benchmark minimum that we aim for. So, so as far as horror stories, I mean, there's definitely seasons where, okay, I'll give you a horror story. So my first
once upon a time.
I had another job at the time when I got my real estate license. So I followed my own advice before I even gave my own advice. I kept my full-time job. I was in property management. and my hours were awful. I had to work weekends. I worked until, like 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night sometimes. And so I'd get clients my first year and they, were like, hey, can we go see a house today at 2? And I'm like, you know what? I have an appointment, but I can meet you there at 6:30. So they had no clue that I was working this other job. And so that allowed me to sell 13 houses my first year. And I just stacked that money away. And so I saved up a ton of money before I left my job. Now I left my job right before, it was like right now, like right after Halloween, right before, right after Halloween. And I was like, yes, I did 13 transactions. I got all this money in the bank. I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to do real estate full time. And as we know in real estate, like the summer is usually our hot season, like not just wise, but we sell more in the summer. And in the winter, there's usually less transactions. I literally went for 6 months without another transaction all year, and I burned the entire savings. So I'm so glad that I had it, but that was scary because I was like, man, like this does not feel good to not have a consistent income. And I went 6 months without selling.
So what was the lesson there? I mean, that's hard. That's hard to do. But what's the lesson? Did that make you hungrier? Did that make you more determined?
Yeah, hungrier and stash hay, like rainy day. And it's hard for me because I'm a spender. So
okay.
I just save it. But absolutely, when times get tough, you can either choose to be a victim in that moment and like woe is me kind of thing. Or you can choose to get about what you need to get about, like and go do it. So Sandy and I tend to be in that camp of like, no, this isn't our reality. Like what do we need to do differently? What can we change? How can we move forward and do better?
Yeah. Sandy, how about you?
I would agree that budgeting and really planning out your business finances, like, very important. I mentioned that I had a team, a bigger team. I think the most that we had on the team under a brokerage was 17 or 18 agents. And we had the systems and, leads, we have everything in place for them to succeed. So and this happens every time, I would see a brand new agent coming in and they start learning. So they start doing good. And then they start making money. And sometimes they're young kids, like
20s.
early 20s, and they never made this much money in their life. And they're thinking they start getting Teslas and they start getting like expensive watches and just like all the fancy stuff because they saw on TV. And for one commission, even though it was a big check, they would blow it. They would blow it and they wouldn't save for, taxes, or they wouldn't save for rainy days, or, they wouldn't stack hay because why do they need to do that? They don't have a mortgage. And then when the market shifts or when they will get comfortable, because after you get a few big checks, like prospecting doesn't seem like that's very important. Like maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe, I'll just take a vacation. I'll go to like Maui for a week because I'm a high roller now. That's really is a risk. Like you are your own risk in real estate because even though the market changes, we have found that there's always an opportunity to make something happen. You can do chance even when we have a lot of short sales. You make less money, but you can do more short sales. Like there's always a way to make money, but we're our own biggest risk.
Two things. My brain goes off 200 miles an hour when you're talking. So, but first and foremost, what's a short sale? What is that?
Oh, that is when
because we don't know. We're not in the business. So what the heck is that?
A short sale is when you are needing to sell your house because for some financial, you're under some financial stress, but you need to sell your house because you can't afford it anymore, or you can't afford the mortgage payment, and the bank is calling you, and they don't knock on your door, but our old timers like to say knock on door. They're calling for payments, and you owe more on your mortgage than what you have equity, what you could sell the house for.
Yeah, the value of the house is not as much as what you owe.
There you go.
You owe more
That's
than what it's worth.
much better.
Oh, I'm familiar with the term upside down.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a short sale.
Wow.
Okay.
But a lot of times, so just to, clarify, like a lot of times banks will allow a seller or homeowner to sell the house at a discount. They'll take a loss on that loan, but just to get it off of their books because the person.
And the homeowner wouldn't get a foreclosure on their credit
Yeah.
report.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Going back to something you said, Sandy, you talked about paying taxes. Now we're back to independent contractors. You are. You don't have a JOB. You're business folk. You run your own personal business. What the heck is with this taxes thing? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Help me. Talk about paying taxes.
It's her uncle that always comes every year
It's my
knocking,
uncle.
like, hey, I want free money. Not free money. Yeah.
The record.
You have to, I mean, there's so many similarities. I mean, I can only imagine what you guys are learning right now in business school. But for us, it is business fundamentals. And you've got to set aside. So when we get a commission check, this is another misconception for new real estate agents is, I mean, a commission check in our area could be $10,000, $15,000 for one transaction. And yet you didn't just earn $15,000. So you have expenses that you have to pay, right? You've got fees that you're going to pay to your brokerage. You have Uncle Sam that comes and visits. So you want to, but we're responsible for our own taxes. So it's connecting with the CPA and either setting that money aside for when it's due or making payments kind of along the way to kind of stay in track with what your tax liability would be. So, we like to say 30%. So right there off of a $10,000 check, I mean, you're going to set aside $3,000 in a tax account that that's what I would recommend. And that just sits there until Uncle Sam comes and you find out how much taxes you do owe because of the business you've done. So that's just a smart way to run a business, is to have a separate account and you throw a certain percentage of that revenue into that account and set aside for taxes, and you pay yourself a salary. So that 15,000 is not all yours. You're going to get a salary from that 15,000.
Wow. It sounds a lot like running a business. And sometimes if things are slow, you get paid last, or maybe you don't get paid. Is that fair? Because that's what happens in business, right?
Right.
Although now the ones that get it backwards, right? The big watches and cars, those are the folks that see the 10,000, 15,000 and go, look how much money I have. Right? And then they have challenges. Oh my gosh. Let's talk a little bit about the market today, which is kind of shaky. So get out your crystal ball just for a moment, if you can. Is this a good time to get into real estate?
Is it?
So it depends. I think it's always a great time in real estate. There's never been, so Sandy nailed it on the head a few sentences ago when she said, it doesn't matter if the market's up or down, there's always opportunity. And so there has not been a day in the last 100 years that a house has not sold. Even, I mean, the day after 2008, if there was a day in 2008 that was considered the bubble burst, the next day another house sold, because there's always supply and demand. There's always a buyer out there. So it's just looking for those opportunities. And so today's real estate market, I'd say if it's someone that's got that driven personality that wants to own a business, that doesn't want to invest $100,000 in order to start that business, they only want to invest $2,000. But you're willing to put in the work and treat it like a business, like a JOB. Then I think there's great opportunity in it. And I'll even go as far as to say, even if you got your real estate license, and I'm not like the poster child for real estate agents, I'm not trying to recruit anybody. And yet even if you just got your real estate license and you never sold a house in your life, you could send us your friends and family, and we will gladly pay you 25 to 30% of our commission as a referral fee.
Yeah.
So we can only do that if you have a license. And so I'd say get your license, never sell anything, just send your referrals to Sandy, and we'll pay
For people.
We always welcome.
So, okay. Yeah. So again, it's true. I'm going to go back to what you said earlier, is that, you start your business while you're still employed.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And so you kind of started it maybe like as a side hustle, stash away that cash so that, you're working on your business while you're still employed paying the bills. There's a question in the chat going back to saving money for taxes. You talked about peeling money off. The question was, do you have a separate business account set up, or is that your personal account?
We do.
Yeah, never use
Mhm.
your personal account. So if,
Commingling funds is a problem, right? That's it.
yeah, run it like a business. So I'm sure what Ernie's teaching is, you have either like an expense account, or you have like all the revenue goes into I call it an operating account. So
Yep.
all the revenue goes into one account, and then from that operating account, you've got another tax account, you've got maybe a savings, like a reserve account, you've got an expense account, things like that. So that's how I'd recommend setting that up.
Yeah. I tell folks to treat it like a business and not a hobby. It absolutely, whenever revenue is generated, that is not your money. It belongs to the business entity. And if you think about it as, you don't want to embezzle from your own business, do you? I mean, embezzle is such an ugly word, right? But if you don't keep it separate, right, and take care of your expenses and your taxes and so forth, you essentially are embezzling from your business or embezzling from yourself. That's not cool. Question in the chat from Joshua, who he's serious about this now, because Joshua's been pinging me in the chat through the whole chat, but he's asking, when buying houses, is it better to buy one that is fixed up already, or buy a beater and fix it up? What are the benefits? So we're talking flipping now. We're going to flip, or we're going to buy real estate for investment real estate, or investment real estate to flip. Which is better? How do we do that?
You're a flipper expert here.
It's so if Joshua is looking to do a flip, that's buying something, a property that's in distress and needs fix up or upgrades, then and that is a business model. Like in real estate, you have so many ways of doing business, and that is one of them. So I wouldn't say if it's better or worse, but it's just one of the ways of making money in real estate. I've done flips where we buy them under value. Usually is circumstances like when someone passed away and kids inherited the property and they just want some cash out. So there are different ways of doing that. Sometimes we can pay them a like proceeds, that the profit they're gonna make, and then we take over the title. Or we just buy them just under the market value, and then bring our own contractors in, fix it up, relist it, and sell it for profit. So I wouldn't say it's better or worse, but definitely have to do your math right, especially in this market houses, because you don't want to put too much money in a project and then finding out that, and 3-4 months later finding out that you can't sell the house for, if the market's not responding to your price.
Yeah, I think it's about value, right? So if you can get really good at identifying value, so maybe the value is you're paying less for a home that's been improved, and you're like, dude, that's a lot of value because I'm kind of underpaying for a great house. Or if you can find a house that is distressed, maybe a homeowner doesn't want, they don't want to fix it up, they don't have the money. They're kind of struggling financially, and it needs paint, it needs a new roof, it needs all these things, and they're just kind of stuck. An investor, a flipper can come in and kind of solve the problem, give them a little, buy it for 70 cents on the dollar, solve their problem, and they're more than happy to sell it. But it's just like identifying value. What's an asset that you can buy that you're start. We like to say in flipping, like you make your money going in. So, you know,
If you
it's,
purchased it right.
Mhm.
yeah, it's not on the
Yeah.
back end after you fix it up. You make your money going in, you get a good deal.
Okay, so I'm going to stick on this for just a minute. Then don't let me forget, I have a question about land, just property. But the question is, so I'm imagining you say it's a business model. There's a couple business models that you can have, which is also kind of cool about real estate. There's no ceiling, and you can adjust your business based on what you're interested in. Now, if you buy a distressed property that needs fixed up, are you going to go in and fix it up? Or do you have a network of contractors, or maybe a contractor, somebody that can do this stuff for you at a reasonable rate?
Well, when I first started, I definitely did my own fair share of, demo and,
Really?
those done. And cleaning. I remember like on my knees using a toothbrush. Some houses with the sliding glass door with the window and just like gunked up because you never
Yep.
buy pretty houses for flips, right? So it's
Right.
pretty and it's like you're covered in cleaning supplies. You're like all of that at the beginning. Yes. And I still did some of that with my last few projects, but definitely you have to see, what is your time worth. So right now we have a list of contractors that we do hire. We have a cleaning company. We have all of that. They can you schedule them right, and they just go in and do what they need to do, because you want to finish the project in a shorter amount of time. Versus you think you're saving $5 by doing a lot of things yourself and then extending the time, because time is money in business.
So you want to do it. You want to do it quickly as possible, quick and cheap, right? Get it done quickly, get it done cheaply, or let's say inexpensively. Cheap says,
Definitely
yeah,
because
inexpensively.
consumers are smart. If the old days of just kind of come in and put a paint on it, like that doesn't work anymore. Consumers are really smart and they value quality.
So okay, there's a question about buying land.
Mm.
Can we just buy land? Is buying land a good idea? Is this a good area? Inland Empire? Where do we buy land? You guys buy land?
I have a t-shirt that all it says is buy dirt.
Buy dirt. Now, that's a country song.
That is,
Yeah, buy land. We do have some colleagues that are doing they're buying land and developing them. It depends on what you want to do with land. It's always a good idea to have land, but if you want to invest smart, you pick what kind of land you want to buy.
Right.
You
Right.
pick the area, and there's a thing that some of our colleagues are doing. It's called opportunity zones, and they're making a lot of money with that. I haven't done that myself, but I'm happy to provide more information if you guys are interested in that.
Okay. Can you give us a quick run through what's an opportunity zone?
It depends on different ones, but some zoning, the government will give you a huge tax break for either agriculture or
well, and to help support affordable housing, right? So like there's certain areas in California, and unfortunately there's a lot in our immediate area because there's not enough affordable housing. So the government will say, hey, if you buy property that you could provide housing to somebody, so a rental property, multifamily,
Section 8,
and then and do that, they'll give you massive tax incentives with that.
How does the value determine who does that? The market, the realtor, the homeowner? How do you decide?
Could you
the value?
You cut out for a second?
The value of a house, how is that determined? Who does that?
Well, as realtors, if you're to sell your house or you want to find out the value of your house,
Yes.
we do a lot of research. It depends on what is selling and what is in escrow, what has sold in your immediate area. That houses are similar to yours, and we do that. obviously when you get a mortgage, your mortgage company will hire an independent appraiser as well that'll come out. They're trained in that to give their opinion of what the value is.
So then historically, what houses have sold for in the area, those are called comps, right? Comparative sales. And then of course, you have this assessor person, estimator come in and look at the house, and don't talk to him when he's in the house, please. He's working. So
We bring them
No.
donuts. Wait, not supposed to say that.
Yeah, we'll get in trouble. Yeah, it's funny because you'll have
to
appraisers,
encourage this.
you'll have appraisers go out. You could have three I like to joke that you could have three appraisers go out on the same day, have the same breakfast, and they all come up with different numbers. But it's unfortunately it's a little bit kind of a weird system that we have. But yeah, we always look at the best way to determine something's value is to look at what did someone just pay for something similar down the street.
So looking at real estate as a business opportunity, a model, and then what skills do you need, right? If I'm watching this and it sounds attractive to me, and when you talk to young folks or folks who just want to get into the business, what sort of skills would you suggest? Hey, you need to have these skills to get in, or you need to acquire these skills. What skills are those?
Do I go first?
Well, number one is, and I don't think it's a precursor. Like if you don't think that you're a social person or you're not an extrovert, that doesn't mean you can't be successful in real estate. It's something that, we were talking with Ernie before this call, and Ernie's like master networker, right? So I think that that's a skill that can be learned, and it might not be comfortable at first, but it's something that would serve you well in this industry, is just being able to intentionally make connections and relationships with people. And Sandy always says to me, it's all about deposits and withdrawals with relationships. And
I like this one.
If you can be a person that is a deposit person, and you deposit enough to people, this law of reciprocity, people want to contribute back to you and they will support you and help you. So I think if you're just showing up in life, loving on people and helping people and depositing into them, that will serve you really well.
Yeah.
And I like to add on to that because when a fun fact, back in high school, I was an immigrant and I moved to upstate New York, small school, but graduating senior class, I was voted the shyest person in my entire senior class, which was 111 people. But anyway, so that proves the point that even though I was the shyest, I probably spoke the least amount of words, but you could learn. It's a learned skill. Like as long as you don't have like a panic attack when you talk to somebody, like if that's not like a regular thing, you can learn anything.
You can have a panic attack occasionally, as long as it's not a regular thing.
Not on the regular basis. Sometimes a lot of realtors that we know, they not that they don't like people, like they are introverts, but a lot of us are extroverted introverts. So you can, I think, really comes down to mindset and if you're coachable. I think it's so important to be coachable. You're not coming in like, oh, I seen this on TV, so this is how I'm going to do it. Whatever you say, always learn from people who have done the things that you want to do, have been to places you want to go. Being coachable is 100% super important.
That's huge right there. You can almost do anything you set your mind to do. If you want to, you'll figure it out. You can just practice until you build the talent, skill, and ability. There is a misconception in the world of business that, I'm not an extrovert, therefore I cannot. Back in my automotive aftermarket days, I did television with a guy who was an introvert, except when the camera came on, and then, ladies and gentlemen. But when the camera turned off, he shut down, right? And sometimes this had to go away and recharge. Introverts absolutely can perform at a high level if they want to.
Sales.
if
Yeah.
they want to. So there's no restriction on introvert, extrovert. Anybody can do it if you want to. Kevin, I like the coaching part, right? You get to get around somebody and Sandy, you said hang around people who have already done this and learn from them, be coachable. I think it's huge, right? I love that. So we're coming close to wrapping up. And last question, Kevin, is, and I'll do Kevin first. What didn't I ask you that perhaps I should have?
That's good. That's really good. I think we covered a lot. This is really good. As I was thinking, I was really excited when Molly reached out about us being a part of this with you. And I just think about all of you guys in your studies right now. And as you're studying business, and I'm like, I really, the message I was hoping to communicate is that it's so similar. We might say different words, but we're talking the same things when it comes to business. And so everything that you're learning right now from Ernie and from others in your program is going to serve you well. And for those of you that pursue real estate, pay attention to what you're learning right now, because that is exactly what we talk about. We just use different words, right? Instead of customer acquisition, ours is lead generation, right? So it's the same thing. We just talk about different words.
Yeah. I like the part, and it didn't occur to me until you started talking about it. There was a big duh that this is a business. You both are entrepreneurs, and this is a business. You run it like a business, and you do the things that you would in other businesses to generate, grow your business. And I love it. So, Sandy, what about you? Final words of wisdom to these up and comers.
I think we covered how to get licensed,
Yeah.
and I want to talk about I want to mention that after you get your license, it is really important to interview different brokerages, because brokerages are different companies that you're going to hang your license under or with. Definitely find a brokerage that is up to date, or on the leading edge of with technology, with training, with education. A lot of times people get licensed and they just go to maybe their cousin worked there, or their mom knows somebody at a company with a blue collar, but and then they give you a desk and say they're going to charge you how much for each month, and they say good luck. and whatever you studied in those 3 courses, they don't teach you how to be a successful real estate agent. So definitely pick your brokerages. Great. Obviously connect with Kevin. His brokerage is nationwide, and they are #1 in training. You definitely need mentors. I had amazing mentors when I got in, that really propelled me, saved me a lot of time and money. So have great mentors, have a great coach, have a great company that will offer support and training and education.
Okay. I have a question in the chat, Kevin. This is to you. You dropped a link in the chat, and the question is that training for before or after you get your license?
So this is a career night. So I do this twice a month. The next one coming up is on Monday, the 6th. So what this is going to go a little bit deeper into what we just talked about briefly today, which is the process of getting your license, and then how we can help you get started for free with the scholarship. And then I just open it up. So if you want to continue the conversation about getting started in real estate, career night, Monday the 6th, it's 4 p.m. via Zoom. So this is getting started. This is just to kind of help you make that decision if that's something that you want to do.
Okay. So just if you're interested at all, sign on and ask questions.
Yep.
And speaking of questions, before we wrap this up, any questions to the gallery? You guys have been kind of quiet, but any questions that you have for Kevin and Sandy? As you can see, they're not short on words and they're not shy. So if you have any questions at all.
I was hoping to see more people's faces, but
yeah, it's a post-COVID thing.
Post-COVID.
All right, I think we're there. Molly, I'll hand it back to you. Wrap us up and take us home.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I've learned so much. And as you both know, Sandy and Kevin, I know you personally, so it's amazing. You know, you're my family, and so it's kind of amazing to hear this professional about your business, and thank you so much for sharing your experience, your expertise with us. Oh, there is an interesting question. We'll take
Yeah, I see that. I see that too. And then I have a little twist on that too. So here's the question. Here's the question. Do you have to disclose whether a house is haunted?
Not in California.
All right. Do you have to disclose whether someone has died in the house?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
did you know that, Molly? You didn't know that, did
I
you?
didn't know that. That's so
Yes.
interesting.
Mhm.
But there's, you know,
Yeah,
not
you have to
being,
disclose them.
yeah.
Well, here's my rule of thumb that I'll tell sellers: if there's any doubt, well, like, how would you feel if you moved in and then you found out the house was haunted? Like, wouldn't you want to know? So always disclose, always over disclose, tell them everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
should probably give them the names of the spirits too, so they could continue the conversation. That's what I'm thinking,
yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true.
Okay. All right, Molly. I'm sorry. I'm going to be quiet now.
No, that was great. I loved that. Those last questions, super fascinating.
Thanks,
And
Carlos.
again, yes, thank you. That was a good one. But all the questions were great, really appreciated. Just again, hearing about your experience, hearing more about real estate, and really just I think you know, I'm in the same boat as Ernie. I had not thought of it as, oh, you are of course entrepreneurs and this is of course your business. You know, that's of course the case. And it's just you know, I've always respected you and your work ethic, both of
Yeah.
you. And honestly, you know, how much integrity you have with your business. I definitely know that for sure. And so thank you again for sharing with us today. We've really appreciated it. And I just want to also thank everyone who's attended today and been part of this Career Path series today. We will be sharing this recording on our YouTube channel. And thank you, Ernie, for being an expert interviewer. Wonderful interview always.
This is fun for me, especially when it got to the ghost thing, you know? Are there ghosts in the house? Is that a question you ask your client? Excuse me, is this house haunted?
No, because then we have to disclose it.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There it is. We don't want to know.
Don't say that to me.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the recording now.
Yes.
We are not recording
Thanks again,
anymore.
everyone.